Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series Round 8, live from the Red Bull Ring using iRacing, the world's premier simulator. I am James Parfitt and I'm joined in the booth, as always, by Ewan O'Leary. This evening, what plans to be an absolute epic night of racing. 17 cars on track, going to be whizzing around this very short circuit here this evening. Current track length 4.318 kilometers, 2.683 miles. Only 10 turns, and current track record is a 1:05.619 set by Carlos Sainz Jr. in the McLaren MCL 35 in 2020. What does it race at the moment? Where it holds the current Formula One, the Grand Prix Motorcycle Racing, the DTM, the International GT Open, the Moto E, the Boss GP, the TCR Europe, and it formerly held the European Le Mans Series, which was the 4 hours of the Red Bull Ring. So much love if you are here. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the bells for notifications, because that will be absolutely amazing. But I think it's time to bring Mr. O'Leary into the booth with me this evening. Good evening, Ewan. How are you, sir?
Thursday night Radical Race Series action, and I'm looking forward to it once again. About to hit the 2/3 mark of this season after this round, and it's really starting to get very interesting now. Yeah, it's been a great season so far, and hopefully it continues at what is a great circuit, as we've just seen. Yeah, I think it provides great racing, and it's good to drive. It has both of those aspects.
It definitely does. The championship standings currently are on your screen. As you can see, we have a tie at the top between Simon Edwards and Luke Maxwell on 216 points. Dan Webster on 209. John McCutcheon on 207. Top 4 separated by 9 points. Paul Clark in 5th on 180. Mike Boosel on 173. Paul LeMay 165. Robert Woodward up 4 on 135 this week. Dave Rolliston on 129. Seth Brown on 116. Also up 4. Martina Ward down 1 on 114. Darrell Taylor down 3 on 112. Phil Glover there on 106. Colin Wynn on 104. Jamie Bird on 98. Damien G on 93. And David Ward on 89. And then below that, we've got Graham Brown on 87. Dave Beasley on 81. Tied with George Gonzaga. Paul Crabb on 78. Andrew Derrick on 77. Sergio La Cruz on 71. Graham Brown on 68. Phil Jocelyn 55. Austin Gretorix on 28. And we haven't seen Ben Underdown this season, so unfortunately for Ben, he is on 0 points. Championship top 4 separated by 9 points, and we've got 5 weeks remaining, and this could be very close going down to the final round.
It could well be very close indeed, and well, it still already is really. So that's all very good news for us, and it should be an exciting fight right to the end. It just shows you just how much the championship standings can change due to drop weeks, really. And the good side, we spoke a lot about the bad side to them, particularly logistics point of view, is a bit of a palaver, but it creates interesting championships. There's certainty about that, and so this is one of them, definitely. And now, given that we have a spreadsheet at our disposal, we know exactly who scored points where and how many. So we know when people will be taking drop weeks and so on. But even so, I guess the only discouraging news out of my calculations is the fact that either Simon Edwards or John McCutcheon will win the championship if they go into the final round with any sort of a lead. And that's just because of the way that the scores are dropped, and the fact that you can only score a maximum of 40 points at the Nürburgring, which is not true at 9 of the other races in the calendar. So it does make things a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think it's great that you've gone and put this spreadsheet together. I know we've spoken about it over the last couple of weeks as well, and I think it's great to have that at our disposal, ready to be calculating all the drop weeks. Let's run into the format here this evening. We have got 10 laps for the sprint, 16 laps for the feature, and a 1:23.726. So you're looking at around about 11 or 12 minutes for the sprint race, and about 17 or 18 for the feature race. These cars are flying around here at a rapid rate of knots currently at this moment in time, and it is Luke Maxwell topping the timing tower on a 1:23.726. I think we've kind of hit that plateau with that 123 though, because it hasn't changed a lot as the duration of this practice is going on. Is that really where we're setting the benchmark on a 1:23.7? Do we think we're going to get lower for qualifying?
Well, it's difficult to see that they're going to go any quicker in qualifying, really, because you only get 3 laps. If they got the whole 10 minutes, maybe 15, 20, then maybe they go a bit quicker, just because they're really trying, and you don't necessarily know what they're trying with these individual laps. They could be trying qualifying, I suppose, but they could also be trying a race setup, just getting things set up for the race. So it's difficult to say at the moment, but I do think that the high 23s will be where the pole sitter will be, and the times are going to be very close. There's not many places to gain time around here, really. Kind of isolated corners for the most part. Certainly turn 1, turn 3 and turn 4 are sort of isolated corners, and you know, one corner doesn't really lead into the next as it does at other circuits. That's where you really lose and gain time. So it's going to be a close qualifying session, but certainly not much quicker than this, or if any quicker than this.
To be fair, with this circuit, right, I've spoken to numerous amounts of people, and not everybody likes it, right? Because potentially we could look at it as it's got 3 straights and 7 corners. You know, it does say it's got 10 on there, but we don't count some of the corners, I think, because they're just really not quite corners unless you're on a motorbike. But it's not everybody's cup of tea, this track. And I can't work out really why people are looking at it in that way. You know, I don't mind this circuit. It's short, it's got its corners, it's got its straights, it's kind of got everything. Almost it reminds me as if you're looking at cakes, right? Where you look at this and you think cupcake, because it's nice and short. You can get round there very quickly, and then you look at places like the Nordschleife, which is more of a Victoria sponge, you know, where you've got lots going on all at the same time, and it might be a weird way of looking at it. Bear with me here, chat. I've got this, I promise. But that's the way it can be seen. It's not everybody's cup of tea, is it? This circuit.
It's certainly, well, I guess no circuit is really, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I guess. It would be boring if we were all the same, I suppose. But, you know, I guess every circuit has its haters, if you want to go that far. But no, I'm certainly one of the likers of this circuit. I think it provides good sort of driving opportunity with racing opportunity as well with one another. So, yeah, I'm a fan of it. Even though there aren't many corners, I think people do hold that against the circuit just a little bit. The fact that it is so simple, and you know, there are so few corners. Maybe that's what people don't like about it, or something else. The fact that the long straights, of course, I guess you're waiting a long time for corners at times in this circuit. But yeah, I do enjoy it personally, and it provides good racing as well, which is holds a lot of weight in my opinion in terms of a circuit. It's got to have good racing on it as well. It doesn't matter how good it is to drive, but you know, if cars are going to follow each other and that only throughout a race, then it's not a great circuit in my opinion.
I think that's the thing. I like this circuit. You know what I mean? It's got everything there, and you know, just say we put it down. You mentioned about it being a simple circuit, but it's got the corners that can cause you the most difficulty. You know, turn 1 has got that outside sausage curb. The corner we're going into that Paul Clark has just puffed up a load of smoke as well. You've got the off camber on the inside that could cause problems when you get on the accelerator. It has got its issues. And then going down into Schlossgård, which is potentially turn 3, you know, you've got that off camber downhill braking area that can lead to spinning, people going wide, people running off. So it has got its difficulties, because it can't be mastered as quick as others. And I think that's one of the things that kind of really does make this circuit, that it's still got its difficult sections at the same time.
Yeah, it does have difficult sections, to high-speed sections as well, where you can definitely get off tracks very easily. And I know that the final corner is really heavily monitored. But then again, the off-track system really does allow you to break the track limits quite comprehensively on racing, to be honest. So we'll be seeing people getting away with quite a lot in terms of the track limits. But yeah, I mean, it's a challenging circuit. High-speed corners in there, but overtaking opportunities as well, and now a chance to nail a qualifying lap, hopefully without an off-track, because as I said, you can get away with it in the final couple of corners, but also it is possible to pick up an off-track here or there as well. So do need to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And off tracks is very easily achieved, as is slowdowns here as well. So they've got to be a bit sensible coming off that last corner, because not only does it give you an off track, it also gives you a wonderful slowdown as well, which means you're off the racing line just watching cars go past you as you're trying to take off this 1 second slowdown that keeps going. It seems to keep going for ages, that you end up losing about 2 seconds. So overall, you've got to be a little bit sensible here, because, as I say, it's not a racetrack, I think, for the hardcore drivers that would drive it in officials, because of the fact how easy it is to receive it off track, how easy it is for people to go lunging up the inside at turn 1 where we're heading now with Dan Webster. And I think that's the thing why it probably isn't loved as much as what people should do normally, because of the fact that they've raced it in an official and it's gone completely wrong, which is easily done here, I suppose, actually, to be fair. It's easily done in an official race. But overall, I think, the circuit makeup of it is great. And, as we go into qualifying, 7.5 minutes remaining, we do see Dan Webster. Don't forget, guys, as well, this evening is sponsored by HPE Automotive and iLoungeRacing.co.uk. All links down in the description. Please go and check them out as well. And a massive thank you to them for sponsoring this amazing event. And, of course, Dan Webster driving for HPE Automotive, as is Paul Clark driving for iLounge Racing. That's probably because Paul owns iLounge Racing. And we are heading up there on the 11th of February to do some media work for the day. So there will be me and a mountain of drivers going up to iLounge Racing in Bedfordshire and doing some media work. We've got some interviews lined up. We've got a lot going on. So that will be posted on the JPB YouTube channel when we get that all done and edited and ready to go, because it will be an absolutely epic day. So if you are around iLounge Racing, stop by on the 11th of February. Come and say hello. It should be a good one. As we can see here with the drivers coming towards the end of the first laps. Graham Brown's go on to pole. David Rollister, James Child in second. It's going to be interesting to see what Dan Webster and Simon Edwards is going to do. Webster's gone on to pole on a 1:24.786. What about Simon Edwards? Second place, 1:24.878. Still got one more lap, but it's going to be tough, isn't it, really, the speed that Dan Webster's had?
Yeah, it certainly is. We saw a lot of pace from those few drivers early on or throughout the practice session, so it is going to be difficult to beat. And Maxwell, unfortunately, there has not had a good start to his qualifying session. Was expecting a bit more from him, maybe, in what we saw in practice. But down in 8th place right now with a 25.6, I think that is. So a little bit slow, a little bit down on the pace, but however, doesn't really matter. But I know it doesn't really matter at this stage. Still got 2 laps to go, and McCutcheon in their 6th place, a little bit down in terms of he joined practice quite late, so I think it's a bit under practiced really for this race.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, when you go into drivers like John Maxwell, combining names now. All right, don't start. John Hutchinson and Luke Maxwell, they've been here enough times to know this circuit, I would have thought. Surely, wouldn't they? John could be able to put a pole position lap in on lap 2, can't he?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it won't hold them back too much, as you say. And by the way, I was with someone smashing names together literally 2 days ago, so it happens. But yeah, I mean, they probably won't need much practice really. McCutcheon, especially by the time the race comes around, John McCutcheon will be right on the pace, and Luke Maxwell has been here for a while as well in terms of practicing, so it should be right up there. He is now. This is going to be an improvement, and it's right to the top. There we are, right to the top for Luke Maxwell. He's right on the pace now, but does need one more good lap here. It's 3rd and final lap times, and this is do or die now for everybody. They need good lap times here.
Yeah, absolutely. But boy, oh boy, did he put that on. And I want to have a look at Martina Ward. She's purple in Sector 2 currently. How's she going to get on around the last 2 corners? Can Ward get this car near the top of the timing tower? Green in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2, which means she's going faster than Luke Maxwell. Green in Sector 3. Oh, 5th place for Martina Ward. Absolute stunning lap from her there, and Dan Webster is another one on purple and greens here.
Yeah, absolutely. We could well see some very quick succession new best lap times coming in for the likes of Dan Webster, Simon Edwards, then maybe McCutcheon getting up there, although I doubt it. And then we'll have Luke Maxwell, last of the real big hitters, to get up there and maybe take pole. Let's see, Dan Webster going to kick us off by going over the line. I don't think it's quite enough. It's not.
No, it's not, but we have got John McHutchison, purple in Sector 2 as well. John in that Pink Panther livery coming around the final corner. What is he going to do here? He's green. Is he going to be jumping up from 10th? Where's he going to go? Second place! John McHutchison. Maxwell cements pole on a 123.727. McHutchison on a 124.110. Absolutely flying lap there from John McHutchison. Paul LeMay's also green. Everybody else is a little bit off their times where they were currently. So let's see how Paul LeMay gets on. Great lap from Martinez, as Phil Glover. Absolutely. Paul LeMay goes into 7th. Ward is now down in 9th, unfortunately. And if we can get an improvement. No improvement there. Jamie Bird is another one who's got about half a lap to go before he completes his 3 laps as he's coming down into turn 3. So let's see what Jamie Bird could do. But that was a stunning lap by John McHutchison. 124.1. Absolutely killed it.
Yeah, he did. And shows that he doesn't need practice, really. He's still beaten. He's still ahead of Dan Webster and Simon Edwards. So that's really impressive. Luke Maxwell obviously just up in front of him there. And Maxwell's starting to become a real concern now in the championship. He's been performing really well over the last couple of weeks. He was second in the sprint race and first in the feature 2 rounds ago at Barcelona, then first again at Bathurst last time out. He's basically won the last 3 races of this series, so he's right in form right now. Was second the race before that as well, which was the most recent endurance round that we had at Rutskogen. So Maxwell is the man in form right now. He's tied top of the championship, and it could go any which way of 4 ways here tonight, the championship lead. So that'll take some real thinking about from us, but yes, Maxwell is the man in form, and to take pole by 4 attempts is really impressive. Not taking anything away from McHutchison, of course, as well, whose lap was very good. But Maxwell's the man in form, showing that with that lap time.
Is it a surprise though? If you look down the time, you've got Simon Edwards down in 6th place behind Paul Clark and Graham Brown.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised. His time's not that bad, but it is a good half a second away from where he was in practice. The time pressure is on him, of course, but it is a lot further down than where he was before in terms of lap time. And the fact that he was beaten by McHutchison, I think he'll be disappointed with, because he certainly had a lot more practice than him and has still been beaten by him. So maybe he's just not quite getting on with his circuit maybe as much, and he will have... he does have good results to fall back on to Simon Edwards, but still, he'll really be ruining that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about 40 seconds remaining, just waiting for the end of qualifying, and then we will bring you up the grid, ready to go for the first race this evening, the 10-lap sprint race, followed by the 16-lap feature here as well. They're going to be very thick and fast. Do not go anywhere. Now is the time to get drinks. Now is the time to get your popcorn. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this, because this is going to be incredibly quick, incredibly frantic, and absolutely amazing. Now, however, if you have not seen Mercedes W12s go round Bathurst, please go and have a look back at the LSRL F1 race from Bathurst yesterday. If you think that was quick, you should see them whizzing round Bathurst to go through that mounted section. It was absolutely unbelievable. And to be honest, we had 0 deaths in that section of that racetrack. I think it was actually 1 we had in that racetrack as well, which was quite a surprise. But the grid is on our screen now. Luke Maxwell in first, John McHutchison second, Graham Brown third, Dan Webster fourth, Paul Clark fifth, Simon Edwards sixth, Paul LeMay seventh, Mike Bousson eighth, Martina Ward ninth, David Rolliston 10th, Jamie Bird 11th, Darrell Taylor down in 12th place. Then beyond that, we've got James Child 13th, Sergio Cruz 14th, Seth Brown 15th, Damien G 16th, Robert Woodward 17th, and Phil Jocelyn in 18th place. Yeah, not sure the card track combination of a W12 and Bathurst works, but boy oh boy, did the boys at the LSRL make it work last night. It was absolutely insane.
Well, whose idea was that? Is my question. But yeah, it sounds like if it went well, it sounds like great fun. To be fair, I've always wanted a series to do that. To be fair, and I always did it on games with the AI, just 'cause I thought it'd be fun to have an F1 race there. But obviously it's never going to happen.
No, it was definitely a good one.
Yeah.
So we are just waiting for Mike Bousson to get on track. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check out W12s around Bathurst, because they were whizzing around there in 135s and going into the mountain section in 7th gear. Right, here we go. Lights are on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are green, green, green. Oh, Maxwell got a big spin up off the line. Is dropping down the order. And it's John Maxwell with Dan Webster leading into turn 1. Simon Edwards up 3 places already into 3rd. But boy, oh boy, did Dan Webster spin that car up off that line. And unfortunately for Dan, he's all the way down the order. Oh, poor Dan Webster there. Not Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell, sorry. He's
Luke Maxwell, yeah. The man in form, the man I was speaking about being in form and having won the last 3 races in this championship, which is hard to do now with the reverse grid format that we have in the sprint and feature races. But there he is, 7th place with a lot of work to do, although arguably he is the fastest man in the field here today, so we'll see how far he can get up the field. But his 3 championship rivals, unluckily for him, are 1, 2 and 3 right now.
Absolutely, Paul Clark is under pressure from Mike Bousson here. Paul is up 1 in 4, Bousson up 3 in 5. And here we go as these guys go around Worth for the first time this evening before they rush down into the aptly named Rint corner here at the Red Bull Ring. Damien G has had a crash. Robert Woodward has gone off. Seth Brown's taken an excursion as well. Seth and Damien are down the order in 16th and 17th place respectively. Paul LeMay, Luke Maxwell coming back through though. Don't think it's going to be long. He's down 5, but he's also probably technically up 3 because of where we went already, but he is sitting in 6th place at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. He's made up another couple of places, but it could really have done without that bad start, because you can see the problem already arising. Paul Clark and Mike Bousson are battling over 4th place. It's allowing the top 3 to get away, and even if Maxwell can battle around them both on this lap, which seems unlikely, then he'll still have a bit of a gap to close to the front 3, and if it takes any longer the gap will be even bigger, and he might well already be resigned to 4th place in this race. But this is the kind of drama that happens in these races. This championship is turning into one of the best I can remember in the Radical Race Series. 4 legitimate contenders. It might be something to do with this format, to be honest, being used 9 times this season, keeping everything so close. But it's an absolutely wonderful season we're having, and it's continuing with more drama in this race.
Absolutely, this format has really put the cat amongst the pigeons of championship leaders and contenders, and drop weeks and the endurance as well thrown in. 3 races of that as well. Paul Clark, ice you shall not pass, Mr. Clark, he says, and battling away with Mike Bousson there behind him. Bousson looks like he's got a very nice different kind of livery. He's still within the team red line, but looking a more carbon fibre-ish as Maxwell's trying to go around the outside. Did he make it stick? He passed him. Was that an off-track pass though? Because he looked like he had 4 wheels over the line and round Mike Bousson all at the same time.
Well, everyone goes off the track there every time anyway, so I find it hard to really get angry about that because it's just breaking the rules around those final 2 corners is completely normalised. So how can you enforce anything there? As Martina, oh dear, Martina Ward was trying to make a move work, and I think that might have been the story for David Rolliston as well, but he's had a lot worse consequences in the wall as Maxwell tries to go for 4th.
Yeah, Maxwell's going to try and look around the outside of Clark. Does.
Oh, nice.
He does, he gets the job done and goes up into 4th place. David Rolliston went off track, and this is why he went off track.
Yeah, well, have a oh dear, well, he got the curb on the outside. Thought he was actually going to get it on the inside, but it was the outside curb that he just got there, and that spins to the grass, which is these days really hard to get out of on our racing, like it's constantly wet or something. But yeah, he's dropped all the way down to 17th now. But Maxwell has done well to find his way through to 4th place. We'll see what he can do about the top 3 now, especially with Edwards not seemingly having the pace of the top 2. But yeah, still, 7 laps to go here. But Maxwell to maybe gain some more places.
Yeah, Bousson has gone past Paul Clark as well. So that's another place, unfortunately, for Clark that he lost there as well. Down he went 2. That may have had something to the entrance out of Remus, out of what technically is turn 3, but it is Webster with the fastest lap of the race on a 1:24, 1:06 currently as well, and that is the reason why he has got the fastest lap. 1:24.11, sorry, was Webster's, as he's battling away with John McHutchison coming up to turn 3 here. These two are kind of opening up gap away from Simon Edwards. Paul LeMay has also gone past Paul Clark, so Paul Clark's done an absolute stellar job in qualifying and then drops down the order. It's insane, isn't it? He's just lost places here, and unfortunately he looks like he could be under attack from Jamie Bird and lose another one.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a really big train now, going up, right from up where to Maxwell is, down to the likes of James Child. That's two drivers off now. That's Paul Clark and also Martina Ward going around at the same corner at turn 4. Look like in different ways, but with the same unfortunate consequences for both. They're both going to drop down, finding themselves in the gravel trap, and it is a difficult corner, sloping downhill. The apex falls away from you there, and the rear end does want to just slide out after you've got the front end in as well, which isn't exactly cooperative either. It is a tricky corner down there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised we've seen that, to be fair. I think, to be honest, it was definitely coming. Somewhere was going to do that on track, I think, and then it was just unfortunate. It happened to be Paul Clark off, and then Martina will come around ceremoniously behind him. I was almost to say, well, I feel a little bit sorry for you, I'll come and join you, but Graham Brown's got an absolute stellar run out of turn 1 alongside Child now. He's going to tuck up behind him again, trying to get more of the slipstream. He's got to be looking at pushing that inside line, maybe if he can. It's not an ideal line. It does give you a slower exit, but it does allow you to take the corner. Child, however, does try and run wide, gets the normal racing line, and that's the problem with that corner, isn't it? You know, you can't. The inside is great, and normally we praise to take the inside, but unfortunately with that one, it just gives you that really slow exit out of that corner and allows the guy on the outside to come back at you again. Yeah,
it's never as easy as it looks going down the inside at turn 3, really. It seems like it would be a slam dunk. Well, normally inside of a hairpin is a slam dunk overtake, but just the way that the hill works there, with the fact you do have to, climb a little bit on the way out, and you cannot hold a decent speed around the outside and sort of stop their progress quite so much and benefit your own. So it can be defended around the outside there, and the battle often does continue down towards turn number 4. But yeah, it's not a slam dunk, because there's a two-car incident now. I think Seth Brown and Martina Ward may have come together at turn 6.
Here we go. There's Martina Ward. Where is Seth Brown in conjunction with her? So she's gone round. That's Damien G off as well. Here comes Seth Brown round the corner. He spots her there, hits the brakes. He goes round as well. Was that braking a little bit too cautious because of the accident that was in front of him, maybe, you think?
I didn't really think he even broke. I think he maybe adjusted his line, because Martina was nearly on the, well, she wasn't quite on the apex there, but it was just out the way. But maybe spooked by it was Seth Brown, and maybe just had to adjust his line. And when you are loaded up like that in one of these cars, downforce heavy, any sort of, it's often spoken about the fact you could reach out and push one of these cars around sometimes. They're so loaded up, and so dependent on downforce and air and all of that. So. Any little adjustment and Brown would have been around there, and a car on the outside is more than enough to spook you into doing that. So that's probably what that was, really. Don't think he hit the brakes. Oh my goodness me, that is a send from Graham Brown, and James Child is sent spearing into the wall.
Wow, Graham Brown there literally just sent James Child into another dimension.
Yeah,
so they're coming around, aren't they? And then he just dives up the inside the inside, doesn't he?
It's not a bad idea, but then he just says, "Have this," and he's off. That is a shame for James Child, in all seriousness. But Graham Brown with the as I said, it was a good idea actually. It was a smart idea, but it just didn't quite execute quite maybe as well as he was hoping.
No, definitely not. But watch out, Paul Clark. Graham Brown's now coming on the outside here on that run up into 3. He's got the normal racing line. Clark's got the tighter line. This should allow... Clark opened up the steering there, didn't he? He just opened it up a little bit, let the car just drive wide and said, well, go on then. If you're going to have a go, I'm going to make it as difficult as possible.
Yeah, he did open the. I mean, he gave exactly the right amount of room there because you can kind of force if it's a little bit unsportsmanlike, but it's I'm not really a professional foul, maybe I guess you could call it. Pushing them up onto the curb like that, you don't really want to see it, but it is allowed, and it's a great way of defending. So fair play to Clark for that. Side by side between Damien G and David Rodston, who were weaving about at each other on the straight there as the road curved right and left. But they've held it side by side nicely through turn 4 and now into the left-hander. Should be all fine, although Rollston sent it in quite deep there.
Yeah, so he did manage to hold on to that position from G, mind you. There's 3 attempts up front again from Hutchinson and Webster. Dan Webster driving for HPE. John McHutchinson, obviously, is part of Team Radline, but as he says, this is a solo championship. So I believe he probably is just driving for himself, I think. So there we go. Welcome in chat, Mr. Biggles. Hope you are well, sir. Hope you're having a fabulous evening here as well. But Darryl Taylor, Graham Brown, swapping backwards and forwards here. Oh, is this going to work? There we go. A little bit more gentlemanly than the incident with Paul Clark. But as I say, he did kind of just give a little bit of a professional foul, as Ewan's put it.
Yeah, it's not even a foul is too strong, really. It's not even illegal, but it's just cheeky, isn't it, really, to do that? And so it's smart stuff, really. But on this occasion, Graham Brown coming out on top for 9th place. And this free car battle's the longest train in the field now. Coming up towards the end of the race, I think Luke Maxwell might just run out of time to get back on the podium, but it might be an interesting battle with Simon Edwards, and there's certainly going to be an interesting one for the lead as well, because John McHutchinson has not got this race won yet. No,
definitely not. One of the things I do want to point out, though, is that Maxwell has closed the gap here, and we've got 9 and 10 to go, and he is nearly below that second mark over Simon Edwards. So Edwards is going to have to be a bit careful here as well. Last time out, it was a 1:24.55, 1:24.04 for Maxwell. So he pulled out nearly half a second, and he's got it down below that second gap. So Maxwell is absolutely flying on Edwards currently at the moment as well. So Edwards is going to have to be careful, because it could be very shortly a little bit of a battle there with Luke Maxwell for the final lap.
It certainly could. The winner of that battle as well between Edwards and Maxwell will be the championship leader at the end of this race, which is an interesting added layer. And the winner of this battle as well, as long as it stays for the win, the winner of this battle will be for 3rd place in the championship. So it really is so close right now in this season. I can't remember a season quite like it, where so many positional battles are up for, so many positions in the championship all at the same time. There's so many layers to it. There's still 4 strong drivers involved in a great championship fight that I'm not entirely sure if this championship has ever had a championship quite like this one. It's been absolutely fantastic. I know we're not even 2/3 of the way in just yet, and obviously we're hoping to get a great final race to end it off, but it is a fantastic race right now. Last lap coming up, and a couple of important battles not set just yet.
Yeah, Edwards again there as well. He's losing more time. 1:24.24, 1:23.97. So another near enough half a second from Luke Maxwell. Can he get this? But it's looking like John McHutchinson down Webster. Webster's taken the outside favoured line. He's going to be able to get on the gas a lot earlier here before he starts running down now. Is this where the move's going to be made? Is it going to be made down into turn 3? He's not going to have long. He's got to, if he's going to do it, he's got to send it. He's got to send it. He's got to Verstappen it, and he doesn't do it this time around. Has Maxwell got onto the back? Unfortunately not of Edwards, but Buson has got onto the back of him. Darryl Taylor's still battling away with Sergio Martinez de la Cruz here, but it is John McHutchinson and Dan Webster fighting it out for the lead currently as well. Are they going to make this? Do we think McHutchinson's going to get this? Is this going to be the position it's going to finish in?
It looks like McHutchinson's got it from here. 2 fast corners coming up, and Webster didn't get a very good run out of turn 7 either. It looks like McHutchinson is just about going to take this sprint win remarkably, really.
Yeah, here he goes now. John McHutchinson round the final corner. He's going to come across the line. John McHutchinson, where has Webster gone?
He might be disqualified. He might be disqualified. Dan Webster may well be disqualified from this race. He was off track at the time. It was in the penultimate corner. He may have hit the incident limit at the very final turn.
Oh, Dan Webster. He's gone. He literally just disappeared here. So here we go. He tries to run round, isn't it?
This is the move. And this is the attempt, but I think just because, how off-track heavy this circuit is and how much of a short race it is, Webster thought, I can get away with trying to, push the boundaries a little bit here, but he's just pushed them a little bit too far. And we're going to see, as he goes wide at the penultimate corner, I think he's going to be disqualified.
Oh, I have got him down as 18, 17. Well, he didn't even last that long because it changed over into the thing. But there we go. Here are the results for this session here for Heat 1. We've got John McHutchison is your winner. Simon Edwards in second. Luke Maxwell third. Mike Bousson fourth. Paul LeMay fifth. Jamie Bird sixth. Paul Clark seventh. Graham Brown in 8th, Sergio Cruz in 9th, Robert Woodward 10th, Phil Jocelyn 11th, Darrell Taylor 12th, David Rolliston down in 13th, Damien G 14th, Martina Ward 15th, Seth Brown 16th, James Charles 17th, Dan Webster all the way down in 18th place. And we can only put that down to the fact he picked up a DQ on the final lap.
Yeah, and now he needs to go from last to first to win this race to make sure that it's not one of his drop weeks. I can see this easily becoming one of those weeks that you have to get rid of, in which case he will score 38 points today. And John McHutchison is only 13 points away from doing that already in this event. So it's not looking good for Dan Webster. I was just thinking, earlier today when I was thinking about this race and this championship again, as I tend to do on Thursday, I'm surprised, in a good way, surprised about how Dan Webster has been able to hold with the real top names throughout the entirety of a season. We've seen Luke Maxwell do it and win a title. We've seen Simon Edwards, John McHutchison. We've seen them obviously all do it for long periods of time, but never really Dan Webster in terms of a real long period of time. But he really has this season, and I hope this isn't the beginning of the end of it. I hope it's just a bit of a blip this week.
Very unfortunate, but so easily done, isn't it? That's the thing. We said about it before.
Yeah.
So easily done here tonight. We've got about 14 seconds left of warm-up. Ready to go here this evening. So stay tuned. We have got one more race ready with a top 10 in at the Red Bull Ring for 16 laps. So we'll give it a minute to settle itself all down, and then we'll bring you up the grid for race 2. So Webster's trying to practice some starts there. Didn't quite go as well as he'd hoped. But here is the grid. Robert Woodward will lead us away with Sergio Cruz in second, Graham Brown third, Paul Clark fourth, Jamie Bird is in fifth, Paul LeMay sixth, Mike Bousson seventh, Luke Maxwell eighth, Simon Edwards ninth, John McHutchison down in 10th, Phil Jocelyn 11th, Darrell Taylor is in 12th place. David Rolliston 13th, Damien G 14th, Martina Ward 15th, Seth Brown 16th, James Charles 17th, and Dan Webster down in 18th place. He's got to be kicking himself, surely.
Yeah, he must be. And by the way, he has won a championship before, so we have seen him do it for a long period of time, but just not for a while. In terms of staying up there in a championship, it's been a while since he's managed it. But yeah, it's so disappointing for Webster. As I said, he needs to go right through the field now to be in with a chance of not letting this become a drop week, which of course it is going to. But it's the reverse grid race. It's going to be a very fun one. We'll see what Robert Woodward can do.
Right, here we go. Lights are on. 5 lights. And we are green for the feature race. Simon Edwards is threading his way through the order there, but it is Robert Woodward out in front. Graham Brown currently in second place as well as these guys go flying up round turn 1. Sergio Cruz is in 4th, Jamie Bird 5th, Simon Edwards 6th, Paul LeMay 7th, John McHutchison 8th, and Luke Maxwell down in 9th place. At this moment in time, as we go running down, there is Paul Clark, there is Sergio Cruz. Is Cruz going to be looking at going up the inside? Oh, that could have been dangerous, but everybody, apart from what looks like David Rolliston, made it through cleanly.
Yeah, a little bit of a kerfuffle at the back of the field, but it's gone all right generally. As down the inside goes Graham Brown, and hopefully a little bit more cleanly on this occasion. Oh, squeezes Woodward a little bit through turn 4, but he is through, and he is into the lead, and he'll hope that they all start fighting over second, and he can start running away, and they are fighting for second with quite frightening intensity right now. Paul Clark down the inside of everybody there. De La Cruz on the outside line. Simon Edwards trying to pick up the pieces, as he so often does in these races.
Jamie Bird is right behind him now. Maxwell is behind Jamie Bird in 7th. John McCutcheon in 8th. You've got Simon Edwards in the purple and red car there. Then you've got 2 black cars of Bird and Buson. Oh!
Goodness.
Somebody was on a slow run then, and it looked like it come from the front, and they all kind of bunched up going into the last corner there, Ewan, and it could have been a lot more dangerous. But we have got Seth Brown here in almost was 3 wide. Oh, wow. They are literally throwing the cars at each other here.
Yeah, they've been battling for a whole lap now since the start of this race. It's been unbelievable fighting, but not particularly helpful for the course of this race, you would imagine. John McCutcheon has gone for a dive on everybody. My word, that was too late on the brakes, and he knows it. He knew it from a long time ago, I think. He's gotten well off the circuit. Simon Edwards has got through now. Jamie Bird will try and push his way through as well. Edwards pulls in front of McCutcheon because he's trying to make a pass on Paul Clark on the outside of turn 4, which is a really hard place to do as they understeer into you from the outside line there. Oh no, Robert Woodward's not going to repeat last week's heroics, unfortunately.
Oh, he's up. Poor Robert Woodward off the track, but the passes have been insane. There is a full list of passes of everybody who's made moves on lap 1, and you've got to admit that was absolutely incredible there as well. Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell has Dan Webster DQ'd for too many off tracks, which we kind of thought, but however, he is now making his way up. He's got past Seth Brown, is now up into 8th, up 10 places already.
He's dived down the inside of Paul LeMay there as well. That was aggressive, but there we are. Oh, still even more side by side. This is unbelievable racing between these drivers now. Side by side in towards turn number 1 between Brown and Darrell Taylor. They're going to continue that all the way up towards turn 3. This has been one of the craziest starts we've had all season long, but I think it lends itself to just what a great circuit the Red Bull Ring is. And this time, John McCutcheon has broke late on the inside, but he's got it right, and he's gotten into 3rd place.
Yeah, he did get past Edwards there as well, and I think there's still more to come as we go back with Dan Webster and Luke Maxwell. These two are in this championship fight. Currently, it is Webster in the white. Maxwell's got up the inside. He's going to go round. Oh! I thought that was it. I literally thought it was all over.
Well, I think Webster's got nothing to lose, really, because as I mentioned, the only thing he can do to make this weekend... Oh, no, it's gone now! As he's remarkably avoided Jamie Bird. That was unbelievable. Bird goes back onto the circuit in front of everybody. Nobody collects him. That's unbelievable avoiding driving from Dan Webster, who somehow manages to get out of that as Simon Edwards goes up the inside of Paul Clark. This has been some of the maddest 3 laps of racing we've seen all year.
Yeah. Paul LeMay is still not giving up this fight. I can't look at that replay just yet because there was just so much going on. LeMay's got to run off the last turn now as Webster side by side going into turn 1. Webster's got the ideal line kind of as he wants to run round and take that traffic, but he has got that sausage cut to contend with, and LeMay does go through. Paul LeMay up into 8th, Dan Webster 9th. Oh my, well, what can we say about this race? What is going on here?
It's absolute madness. John McCutcheon now into 2nd place as it's side by side for Webster and Paul LeMay. Webster is through, yeah, what a start to this race it has been. What a circuit this is to provide racing like this. It is absolutely fantastic, but I can't believe Dan Webster didn't collide there with Jamie Bird, who was having a humongous moment right in front of Dan Webster's eyes. But Webster was just watching him in the end. This is it again. He gets a little bit loose on the outside, gets in the gravel, and I've no idea how he stops that in time. I don't know whether he does make the final touch to send Bird around, but Bird certainly goes back across the road in front of everybody, and he's still not hit then either.
No, unbelievable. Unbelievable how that was, well, just one car really, because it could have been so much worse. There this evening we've got Martina De La Cruz here under attack from Simon Edwards. We've got Mike Bousson battling away with Paul Clark. Luke Maxwell's opened up a gap to Simon Edwards now, to Dan Webster, sorry, and that's about 2.5 seconds. Seth Brown is battling away with Damien G all at the same time. This is happening all the way through. You can see it on the track map. On the right-hand side, there is battles continuously through the field. Paul Clark, and now got Mike Bousson right up behind him as well. Luke Maxwell's hoping to capitalise on this as they're coming in up into turn 2. Here we go. Maxwell's going to go around the outside of both. He's going to take a both. He got...
It's going to be free wide very soon. Maxwell's going to get to the inside, is he? But he's on a very tight line here, and you do understeer a lot. He knows it. He's going to brake early, and he's going to get turned in just to make sure. Round the outside of everybody goes Mike Bousson. That's very impressive, but Maxwell's holding on to it. He's got the shortest line, and now he's going to try and go round the outside, this time at turn 6.
Yeah, he does. He runs around the outside line. Bousson and Maxwell swapping positions there. Poor old Paul Clark's just sitting back going, where are they coming from? They're everywhere. Bousson and Webster, Bousson and Maxwell just ran Paul Clark ragged there. And poor Paul didn't know what was going on. They were just coming from absolutely everywhere. Neither was De La Cruz. He's got Simon Edwards right up behind him as well. This is going to be a move as very shortly Edwards knows he needs to make. He's got 9 and 10 laps now remaining, and he knows he needs to make this move. He's got to get past De La Cruz somehow, and he's got to do it on this run short. Oh, he's done it. De La Cruz has made a mistake.
Yeah, and it will allow Maxwell through as well without much harm, I don't think. He's picked up speed again quite quickly, actually, so it might be a little bit more of a complicated procedure. We'll see as it goes through turn 2 and into turn 3. He's going to be late enough on the brakes from Maxwell. He slows it up in time, and now Edwards and Maxwell may be able to fight between themselves. But the priority really for those guys has to be getting away from the 3 behind, but also catching Graham Brown as well, who's still leading.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham Brown's off by 1.85 seconds there as well. John McCutchinson has got about 2.4 back to Simon Edwards. Maxwell hasn't got that luxury. He is in this battle with Edwards, Maxwell, De La Cruz, Bousson and Clark, all within a very short space of each other on track. There you go. You can see there, poor old De La Cruz has got Mike Bousson right up behind him currently at this moment in time, with Paul Clark behind that as well. Further down the order, we've got Dan Webster mixing it out with Paul LeMay and Darrell Taylor. Further back, we've got Martina Ward battling away with Damien G. There is battles all the way through this race, and we will try and bring you as many as we can at the moment. This one that is the closest one there is Paul LeMay and Darrell Taylor. What is Taylor going to do in that skills car? Is he going to be looking at making his move out turn 1? We're right up behind him now. Here we go. Darrell Taylor on the left, Paul LeMay on the right. Is this going to be Taylor's move? It is. Is LeMay going to be able to come back? Time will tell. But Maxwell up front with Edwards as well. Ewan, they're everywhere.
Yeah, Maxwell went for the move into turn 1. He must have got it done on the inside line, I'm guessing, by the way that are at the moment. Inside line again, but the outside's not bad, although Edwards got on the curb. He's made a mistake, and so Sergio De La Cruz is going to have a better run than both of them, really, down towards turn 4. He's not going to make a move on Maxwell, but he will Edwards, although it won't come off, you'd imagine, on the outside line there. But important pass from Luke Maxwell to get back in front and into what is a net championship lead as they run right now.
Yeah, it is. De La Cruz on the inside trying to battle away with Mike Bousson. Bousson there trying to look up run round the inside and follow Edwards through. He couldn't make it through. De La Cruz did manage to close the door, but Bousson is now right up the tailpipe of Sergio De La Cruz here and is absolutely flying at the moment. He's not going to, no. Take your line. See, you're tightening it up. You run a little bit wide now. Now you've got to wait. De La Cruz is locked up. Here we go. Here's the run from Mike Bousson. We're right up beside him at the moment. De La Cruz is coming across. He's squeezing. Are we going to get in? Bousson slots in behind him. Here we go on this run up into turn 1. Is it going to be Bousson? Is it going to be De La Cruz? Oh, De La Cruz did well there.
He's held on.
Oh
no.
Darrell Taylor.
It is, yeah, Darrell Taylor's off and, well, recovered remarkably there. He looked like he'd flown into the wall, and that's Jamie Bird around? It's Phil Jocelyn, sorry, who's gone around at turn 1 as well. Bird was fine, although they were in a fight. so maybe was involved as De La Cruz and Buson still battling it out. This battle for 5th place is going to be one of those to watch to the end of the race as well, because it doesn't show any signs of dying down, and Dan Webster's now going to have to fight his way through it.
Oh, here we go. Oh, side by side. I always get worried when I see this because netcode could kick in, a slight little drift wide could kick in, as we saw with, well, I'm not sure that was netcode with Graham Brown, and to be fair, Jamie Bird in that last one. I think that was just a pure set from Brown, but anything can happen, can't it? Netcode is such a big thing in this game that it can happen, and either of these drivers could go off here, as Paul Clark's looking at going up the inside of De La Cruz as well. Oh, man. Oh, they made it through. Boy, oh boy, how did they make it through?
Yeah, it's a hold your breath type of moment, but they have made it through again. Now Paul Clark on the real defensive. It does look like Buson is a bit quicker than these drivers at the moment, so he will be able to get away, you'd think. But Dan Webster's really going to have to work hard to cut his way through these guys. I think 5th place may be his limit in this race, and it may not matter anymore in terms of a drop round. It looks like this is going to be one of them, but still needs to score as many points as possible to give himself the insurance policy, the best insurance policy you can possibly get, but won't be able to make a move into turn 3.
Well, it looks like Darrell Taylor has been trying to make a move on Martini Ward. Taylor in that Skittles livery. Ward in her traditional purple and black. Is he going to be looking at making a move in there as well? No, there was a big puff of smoke from Robert Woodward, who unfortunately there went off at the beginning of the race from 2nd place at the time, I believe, as well. So unfortunately for Robert Woodward, it kind of all unravelled from about, well, turn 5 really, before he went sliding off down the order. But there's going to be some more interesting battles coming along here. Buson, De La Cruz, then we've got the Webster Paul Clark battle. That's going to come very, very shortly as well, and they've only got 6 laps left for you, and this has been a crazy race.
It has been a crazy race. Just imagine if it was the sprint late race distance as well, and the race would already be over after this lap. It'd be madness really, but yeah, it's going to continue a little bit longer, and it gives a little bit of a chance for some of these orders that are not quite settled in the right places to get settled, and still plenty of incidents have happened, people fighting back from that, so still plenty to happen in this race. That's a nice pass around the outside from Darrell Taylor. Martina Ward being very nice on the exit there, leaving lots of room, and Taylor was able to make the move as a result, and now Seth Brown might be able to come through both of them after the incident earlier. Now De La Cruz and Paul Clark, is it? No, it's Clark and Webster again. Though Dan Webster looks a little bit less motivated to get through as he did earlier, actually. Just a little bit less of aggressive, maybe, that he was fighting his way through earlier. But he is still trying.
Yeah, but you've come up against, one of the defensive drivers in the league in Clark. They don't nickname him, they shall not pass for no reason. He does put on a stern defense. Graham Brown, what happened to you?
Well, just getting caught really by John Hutchinson. Nothing, I don't think any single incident has really happened, but he's just being caught here for the race lead, and he's got a long time ahead of him to hold on for the rest of this race. 6 laps including this one. It'd be a huge job for him to defend this win from here. Yeah,
but I think he's going to give it a good old go here as well. Paul Clark, De La Cruz, Webster. They've seemed to have swapped orders. De La Cruz got off. Webster's got to run out of turn 1. And I believe he's going to pick up both of them here. Dan Webster's going to make this move up into 3 now. Is he going to get it all the way through? He has done. Is Clark going to come back? Clark's on the outside in the yellow, in the blue, white and orange. Webster in the white HPE car, of course. And it does there as well. Brilliant pass from Dan Webster. Went past both of them.
Yeah, just... well, that's the way you've got to do it, really, is if you're trying to do things as efficiently as possible. Get them done in one go. Clark still going to give him a hard time. Oh, and slammed straight into the side of him. And that's it for Dan Webster. Webster disqualified again, I think. It must be, because after the contact, he was disqualified again. Maybe that's why he was being so careful with everybody as he was trying to make the moves, because he was, only a 4x away from getting disqualified from this race, and he already has been, I'm afraid, with more than 5 laps to go.
Wow. I've only got him as 4 off track, so there must have been a lot of contact gone on in that race.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It must have been a lot of contact. And to be fair, he's in the middle of the field, so you can kind of expect it. But even so, there's a long time left in this race.
Graham Brown has been cleared by John McHutchinson here this evening. So John did take the lead for P1. We can have a look back at that one now.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit of a mistake from Graham Brown at turn 7 there. Sorry, turn 6 there. Now turn 7. And McHutchinson had basically the red carpet rolled out for him. That wasn't too difficult at all.
No, he did get it given to him on a plate there as well, with an invitation from, the king at the process, just to say, please go for it. But Maxwell's closed them both up as well. Dela Cruz is still battling away with Paul Clark. These guys have literally been in a full-blown armour battle here. If this was World War III, this is where it would be, because Paul Clark and Dela Cruz have been going at it backwards and forwards. It's been incredible here as well. Unfortunately for Dan Webster, that's another non-finish. That's got to be the drop week done, hasn't it? He's got to take this round as a drop week.
Yeah, he will be, yep. And so he will, in theory, or in effect, score 38 points as a result. Or 38 points added to his score, but even so, with the others scoring really well today, especially like McHutchinson, who looks set to, if things stay as they are, score 60 points. Maxwell scoring well, Simon Edwards as well. They all look like they're going to be really pulling away from Webster in the standings.
Graham Brown trying to give himself a backache there. That radical bouncing over the curb on the exit of 1 as we're now going up into 2 here. Is he going to make this through? Maxwell's on the right hand side. He's going to try and run him around the outside. Too wide. You've got to leave him room. Maxwell's going to get on the gas. It's going to be a straight sprint now down into turn 3 between these two guys, and it is Brown on the right, Maxwell on the left. As they come running down now, is Maxwell going to try and roll? Brown gets on the gas, gets on the brakes early, but early kind of nearly saved him there, but unfortunately it was Maxwell through.
It was perfect from Luke Maxwell, really squeezed Graham Brown just enough to make sure that he couldn't get on the power there because of the understeer at turn 4, couldn't get on the power at all. Maxwell, it's a bit of a risk, especially in the situation he's in, but he calculated it well. And he is through now into second place. So 1 and 2, only a second and a half between them. Maxwell, I think, might fancy his chances as being slightly quicker. And with 3 laps to go at the line, maybe there's life left in this race lead battle just yet.
Yeah, Maxwell is closing the gap. You can see it coming down at a rapid rate of knots over that other side, on the left-hand side as well. McHutchinson was quicker last time around, but Maxwell has pulled the gap out there as well. JB Bird and Damien G are close together as they're coming around turn 9 and around turn 10. So that's another battle that we're going to be keeping an eye on, as is Darrell Taylor and also Paul LeMay. You can see him in the background there as well, still battling away for 14th and 15th place respectively, of course. So Darrell Taylor looking like he's going to get a run out of 1 up behind LeMay. Here we go on this sprint run. Up into turn 3 now, here we go. LeMay hugging the inside line. That's probably not the ideal line though going into that corner, is it, Ewan?
Well, we've debated about this for a long time really, up into this hairpin. It's the outside, not bad, but doesn't always work. The inside, not bad, but doesn't always work either. It's difficult to know where to be really at turn 3. But on this occasion, Darrell Taylor able to stay in front as a result of going on the inside. Phil Jocelyn, David Rolliston trying to go down the inside there of everybody, but couldn't quite do it on that occasion. And 3-car battles everywhere, it seems. James Child with a bit of a recovery and getting back to these two for 6th place.
Yeah, he's trying hard here at the moment, but it is Clark, Dela Cruz, and then Child for 6th and 7th. Buson further up, Simon Edwards with Mike Buson. Buson is trying to close up the gap, not quite getting there at the moment. Jamie Bird looking on the back end of Damien G. Nothing doing there currently either. We are on lap 15. We've got this one and 1 more to go. And it is Simon Edwards being closed down by Mike Buson here. Well, this could be going down to the last lap, I'll tell you that much.
Could well be. Buson is, showing some form that got him into championship contention last season. In the end, obviously, couldn't quite go through with it. Simon Edwards had too much for him in the end. But yeah, it's very possible that Buson could get to Edwards here today, who doesn't look quite on his best. And looks like he is going to lose a tied championship lead to Luke Maxwell having it on his own. Maxwell obviously lost a couple of points in that first race, but he is a couple of positions ahead of him now in this one. And so it is looking good for Luke Maxwell, even if he doesn't get to the race lead.
He's trying. I tell you what, Dela Cruz and Clark, well, they've just been going at it backwards and forwards all the way through. It's just been absolutely unbelievable. Jamie Bird as well, still battling away with Damien G. John McHutchinson gaps down to the second on the last lap. But I got a funny, I've got a funny feeling it could be McHutchinson. Anything can happen. And Maxwell is coming down. You can see the gap closing on the left-hand side. 7-3, 7-2, 7-1, 7-0, 6-9. He's coming, and he is coming rapidly. Can he get there close enough, though? That's going to be the thing, Ewan.
Yeah, I think he's just going to need one more lap by the end of it, because the good overtaking opportunities also come to the start of this lap, really, and not the ends. The last two corners are really not great overtaking opportunities, although John McHutchinson did make that pass for the win for sixth place himself. It is a good chance for anyone else, though, really. Sixth place now goes to Sergio Dela Cruz as a result of a dive on the last lap.
Yeah, we've got Buson trying to make the move past Edwards as well. He's tightened up that run around to Rindt. Here we go. Is this going to be Buson's move? McHutchinson's gap's down to 3 tenths currently. So this is the run down to the lead. Is it going to be John McHutchinson? It's got to be, isn't it? From this far back, you would have thought? No way.
He should hold this.
Yeah. Comes around now. John McHutchinson here is going to win in the feature race. Luke Maxwell will be second. It looks like Graham Brown is going to come across the line in an excellent third place, but this battle here is still raging on. Paul Clark has managed to get, well, I would say clear of Dela Cruz. That's probably not entirely true. Oh, here we go. James Charles gets him at the line. Dela Cruz makes a mistake on the last corner, and James Charles cleared him as well. Graham Brown, Seth Brown and Martina Ward, they're going to come across the line as they are at the moment. It's Ward. Just holds on from Brown. And then we got the LeMay, G and Bird battle as well. And, well, I don't really know what to say on that. That was just unbelievable, I think would be the word, wouldn't it?
Fantastic racing, and for the second time this season, but also for the second time in the last 2 weeks, the winner of the sprint race has won the feature race as well. Bizarrely, John McHutchinson, after really not having very much practice at all for this race, has gone and won them both. So fair play to him. Well, I'll do some maths just right now in a second. But Luke Maxwell might well be the new championship leader. However, it's still really, really close and really exciting heading into the final 4 rounds.
It definitely is. The results are on your screen. John McHutchinson is your winner, takes the victory in the sprint and the feature. Luke Maxwell in second, an improvement on his third place from the sprint. Graham Brown with an excellent third. Simon Edwards in fourth. Mike Buson fifth. Paul Clark sixth. James Charles seventh. Sergio Dela Cruz in eighth. Robert Woodward ninth after slipping down the order in turn 4, I believe it was there as well from second place. Unfortunate for him. Martina Ward in 10th. Seth Brown in 11th. Jamie Bird in 12th. Paul LeMay 13th. Damien G 14th. David Rolliston 15th. Phil Jocelyn 16th. Darrell Taylor 17th. And Dan Webster with 2 DQs in a row has dropped down, is in 18th place. It's a big shame for Dan Webster, really, because I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it, with disqualifications and incident points. And he was starting mid-pack, so did that add to it? Maybe. I don't know. Ewan, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe it did add to it. But even so, I think to get disqualified, be the only driver to get disqualified, but manage it twice, and also so far from the end as well. I think it's got to be, you got to put the blame on him, of course, and he'll be disappointed, but he'll be back again, I am sure. That's become one of his drop beats, of course, and I can tell you that he is 25 points adrift from the championship leader now after that. So not out of it by any means, but needs a really good round next week when we go to Alton Park.
Yeah, and that's going to be different on its own, isn't it, really, Alton Park, I think, from our point of view. I think it's going to be a really interesting race there, and I can't wait for Alton Park. I do love Alton Park, and I think that's going to be an incredible race. But I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's bring in your championships. Sorry, not your championship, your second place man, Mr. Luke Maxwell, into the booth here this evening, and he has just joined us right now. Good evening, Luke. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, yeah. I'm quite hot after that. That was a good workout today.
Yeah, that was a tough one, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Yes, I didn't help myself in both races, to be honest. Lit up the wheels at the start of the first race and didn't go anywhere again.
Yep.
And then got kind of stuck and locked up the fronts early on in the second race, and I think I was down in 13th at one point. So I was thinking, at least they're all close together. You could see a train.
So. Yeah, we're just watching the start in the feature race. You friend it for an eye and a needle, Simon Edwards and Paul LeMay there. How you didn't come to contact, I never know. I wasn't going to bring up the wheel spin, but as you mentioned it, we might as well touch on it a little bit. Well, that just went wrong, didn't it? Really, at the beginning.
Yeah, it's practicing in the pits and thinking, you're launching away every time, but get on the grid and do the same launch, and off it goes. So I'm gonna have to work out how to efficiently practice on the grid. Actually, to be fair, I did at Bathurst and set it up, but I didn't this week, so it's only myself to blame, really.
Yeah, but onwards and upwards, mate. You got a second place overall in the feature. You got a third place in the sprint. Good championship points for you there as well, as you were going in with Simon Edwards, both on, I believe, on 2:16. I will check that, unless Ewan jumps in and says, "Yes, James, you're right."
What? No, what did you say?
He clearly wasn't listening, was he, Luke?
No, sorry.
Wasn't paying a blind bit of attention there as well. So, you were going in the same with Simon Edwards there as well. So, overall, not a bad haul of points for you this evening. Onwards and upwards. Alton Park next week, bud. Different circuit to this one altogether. How do you like Alton? Is it a lot?
I love Alton Park. Yeah. Bring it on. Let's have a bit of Alton. See how we go there, and see if we can get some laps in at the weekend and go for it. I think.
Well, Luke, as always, it's a pleasure to have you in the booth with us this evening. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'm going to shout out to my kids, Imogen and Dennis. There you go.
Oh yeah, how are they?
They are fine. Yes, teenagers, but that's all good.
So not really kids.
Not well, yeah, young adults.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
Nice, man. Well, you take care, and we look forward to seeing you in Alton Park next week.
Cheers, boys. All the best.
And you, mate. Right, so next up is your victor from the sprint race, John McHutchison. From the feature race, John McHutchison. So let's bring him into the booth. Good evening, Mr. McHutchison. How are you, sir?
Hello, Jim. Two-time winner tonight.
Sorry?
Can't say that. First time I can say that. Two-time winner.
I know, but it was an epic race, wasn't it? The feature was just going off all over the place. I didn't even know where to point the camera. There was just battles everywhere. And, you were in the mix for them.
Yeah, it got a bit hairy at times. There was a lot of three-wide action and the people breaking at different points and almost running at the back of Simon a couple of times, I think. And Paul Clark as well. It was all good stuff, though. Close stuff.
It was definitely close. We are just watching the first part of lap one where everybody was tight together. Edwards trying to make the move through. There was obviously the very stoutly "thou shalt not pass Mr. Clark" in there as well. It was just unbelievable action all the way through. What's it like being in a race like that? Because we don't really experience it as such. I don't really drive as much apart from in Monday League, which literally I need more practice, should we say. But what's it like for you driving in it when you've got this type of action going on? Because it was incredible.
Yeah, the first maybe 5-6 laps, it was all go, it was all action, so it keeps you on your toes, keeps you alert and, keeps your focus. But then once I got up with Graham and then passed him, it was just try to keep the tyres and keep the pace at a steady pace. But Luke was catching me hand over fist as usual. There's always someone catching me, as you know.
Yep.
So I held on to the end, so thankfully.
You did, and it was a 4/10 gap. So, Something's
Yeah,
better.
miles.
Yeah, miles.
Easy.
Something's better than nothing, John. But look, onwards and upwards to Alton Park next week, mate. Luke's come out and said he loves the track. I love the track. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think everyone likes Alton Park. A lot of fun there. Risk and reward, so it's all or nothing usually.
Well,
If you catch your grass, you're in the wall. So it's, it's good.
well, let's hope it's not nothing for you, sir, there as well, because that would be a terrible shame. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Not tonight, James.
Not
Keep it
tonight.
quiet. Not tonight. I'll save them for Sunday. I'm going to speak to you on Sunday.
I'm sure you will, young sir. I'm sure you will. But, John, thank you very much for joining me in the booth, and I look forward to speaking to you then.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Take care, mate.
Bye.
Right, so we've got bring in your third place man in the feature race. Graham Brown led fourth in the race as well, and unfortunately just got caught up by Mr. McHutchison. But good evening, Graham. How are you, sir?
Evening, James. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How about yourselves?
Mate, wonderful. To be honest, we at one point were going mental in the booth here because that feature race was just unbelievable. You missed all of it. Being out in front there, you got away from the freeways, the two ways, the sliders, the spinners. It was all going off in the first sort of 3 or 4 laps. But you were leading, weren't you, as well?
Yeah.
And, was that a funny feeling for you, being out in front currently? Because there was a lot going on behind you.
Yeah, it's even funnier when my crew chief was telling me I need to refuel. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'm like trying to check me fuel calculations and fuel save for a couple of laps. And so it's lucky all of that was going on behind me. Otherwise, that'd have caught me much earlier.
Okay, so it was only the fact that John McHutchison got past you because you made the mistake going into 4, I believe, or round into 5, actually. He ran a little bit deep. He sneaked up the inside.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking? You've got the Pink Panther, the Scottish Pink Panther closing you down at a rate of knots here. Can you look forward and drive in, or are you looking in your mirror thinking, he's got to be coming, he's going to be coming, he's going to be coming?
A bit of both. There's a few laps where it was just sector 3 that is gaining on me. So I knew, okay, keep it good 1 and 2, and then he's going to catch me. So when he does, sit in his draft. But yeah, I messed up and then he was just gone before I had time to recalibrate. So that plan didn't work out too well. And then the same with Luke. So, but my tyres were starting to get a bit slippy towards the end. So I was just trying to have to recalibrate my markers and I just didn't do it quick enough. And then they just got away before I could get in the tow.
Yeah, but you took 3rd place, mate.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll say that.
All day long, all day long. Onwards and upwards to Alton Park we go. Everybody loves Alton, don't they, Graham?
Yeah, if they don't, there's something wrong with them.
Right, so what am I expecting next week then from the sprint and feature? Because I couldn't cope through this one, to be honest. I didn't know where I was pointing the camera at one point. There was just everywhere. Battles going across all over the track.
Yeah, there's no chicanes either, so that's going to be a draft fest. So that should be quite close. And there's not many clear-cut overtaking opportunities either, so there could be a few, especially going into Druids?
Yeah,
I think that's going to be interesting.
Could we see a few little dramas though?
Oh, definitely. There's always dramas at Alton.
Oh man, all right, Graham. Well,
T1, tons of off tracks. The final corner,
going down into the hairpin.
just gets everyone there. So yeah, it should be an interesting race.
Well, there you go. If Graham hasn't hyped it up enough for you, you definitely need to come along next Thursday because it's going to be mental. But Graham, thank you so much for joining me. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Yeah, I've got to give a shout out to my dad. It's his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, amazing. How old is he?
Yeah. 86.
Wow.
Yep.
Happy birthday, Mr. Graham Brown's, Mr. Senior Brown's dad. Unbelievable. 86 years of age. Incredible. And is he still rocking around the clock?
He tries to.
Dad dancing at his best from an 86-year-old. Love it. Well, Graham, thank you so much for joining me, buddy. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week at Alton.
Yep. Cheers, guys.
Take care, mate.
Enjoy.
86 years of age. Incredible. Okay, so everybody was in high spirits, right? It was just unbelievable action we saw here in the feature race. It was all go, go, go. Everybody was happy where they're coming from. You know, puts the cat amongst the pigeons, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's hard not to be pleased, I guess, after a race like that. It was very good to watch, and I know that it would have been fun to drive in as well, because I would have enjoyed driving it. Anyone would, because it's less about the results in this series for these drivers, or a lot of them anyway, and more about just the fun. And this race was certainly a very fun one to watch and a very fun one to participate in as well. Very good one indeed. So it was great. I'm very much looking forward to next week as well, of course, where it will actually be John McCutcheon who will be championship leader, by the way, on the corrected scores anyway, when you add the free drop rounds. Dan Webster will obviously take his drop rounds. He'll be 25 points back. Simon Evans will be third. He'll be 6 points back. And Luke Maxwell second, only 1 point back. It's still as close as you could want it.
Well, there we go. Still action all the way through here, and we've still got more to come. We've got Oulton Park next week, then we've got Legacy Silverstone Circuit, Brands Hatch, and as always, we finish off at the Nordschleife for 7 laps of the Nordschleife. You better get your drinks and popcorn and food in for that one, because it's going to be a long one. So don't forget, guys, we have got the Radical Sim Race in America series kicking off at 1:45. That will be hosted by Rob Sluter and Dean Biggles as well on that one. And then tomorrow we have got the Radical Sim Race in AM and Pros, of course, live from the RedBull ring, going off at 7:45 for the AMs with myself. And then 9 o'clock, round about 9 o'clock for the Pros with myself. And of course, Mr. Ewan O'Leary is going to join me tomorrow night as Dan Peoples takes a day off. Straight after that, we got the SRL TCR coming up as well. So round 2 straight after that at 10:15. So stay tuned for that one, guys. But as always, from myself and Ewan O'Leary, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, I might see you on a track sometime. Good night.